your chance to be ruthless.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. It's your chance to be ruthless. They don't wanna see.
I did the long intro on accident. My bad, everybody. Ashley is frozen already. This is going to be fun, but let's go ahead and get into it here. Welcome to the Alpha Label Podcast, your weekly dose of sanity in an insane world. She keeps freezing up on us over here. Oh, this is definitely going to be a fun one. All right.
Hold on.
Today we have a shop in Canada, an anti-capitalist coffee shop that is closing its doors because it modeled its anti-capitalist coffee after socialism, which is a weird thing. Of course, we got an Australian comedian that is being canceled again over offensive jokes. And apparently, Instagram is trying to go the route of Twitter. And we're going to do a little recap on the 3-day Kari Lake trial here, because there's a lot that's come out, and it's alarming. I'm not going to hold my breath over the results of it, though, because, well, we'll get into that in a little bit. But how you doing, Ashley?
I am doing okay. I'm gonna apologize to everyone in advance because I'm coming out of a pretty bad cold. But can we just take a moment, okay, to show some appreciation to my husband for getting me some really, really cool new shirts for Mother's Day, on top of like a whole bunch of really cool books. Not all of those, but like he went all out for Mother's Day this year. I was like, heck yeah, man. Like, but he just gets me stuff he thinks I like, so it's not like really motherly themed.
Oh, your internet is incredibly bad today.
Really? Okay, hold on. Let me.
You sound like a robot trapped in a can.
Sorry. Hold on, let me back up. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna try to flip it. Hold on, I'll be right back.
All right. So, while she does that, the present. Oh, wrong screen. There we go. All right, so we get the Toronto anti-capitalist coffee shop with the pay what you can model closing after 1 year of business. This was from the Publica there, written by Sydney. A self-styled anti-capitalist coffee shop in Toronto has announced it will close its doors at the end of the month. I think she'll be back very soon here. The Anarchist Cafe, owned by Gabriel Sims Fewer, announced on the shop's website that and Instagram that the business will close on May 30th after only 1 year of operation. Oh, poor little thing. It's closing down already. It's been an amazing experience connecting with so many great community members, sparking desperately needed debates, raising the blood pressure of conservatives, that includes you, anarcho-capitalists, and libertarians. I don't think that's raising my blood pressure, but that's fine. Are you back?
I think so.
Yeah, we're good now.
Hopefully.
But yeah, fulfilling the dreams of most service workers by not having to tolerate the presence of professional class traders, pigs, and military, and experimenting with living and working in ways we don't enthusiastically embrace pure misanthropy and capitalism. Unfortunately, the lack of generational wealth, seed capital from ethically bankrupt sources left me unable to weather the quiet winter season. Why they're putting it that way is just incredibly weird. Or grow in the ways needed to be sustainable long term. Simsphere goes on to thank the cafe's coffee supplier and landlords. Also thanks his family, friends for the partners with whom he claims he would be dead or unhoused. There we go with that word, unhoused. Homeless. Just say homeless. It's not bad.
You have to say unhoused now. Didn't you know? It is otherwise offensive. It's just so silly. I hate it here. I hate it here.
I made a video earlier today of something that I found where a morbidly obese woman was yelling at another woman. They were on a homeless committee or something like that, where she was yelling at another woman because she had spoken out against somebody that assaulted her in a manner of speaking. And assaulted kids in a manner of speaking. It was really, really messed up. But yeah, she was just people experiencing homeless, and I was just like, oh my god, y'all are just.
It's so silly to me. It's like, why do we have to why do we have to describe things using more words than necessary just to maybe make someone feel better? I don't know. Like, to me. I've been homeless before in my life, not like sleeping on the street homeless, but definitely really, really close to it, like couch hopping homeless, you know? And I was homeless as a kid too. And it's just like, bro, like I wasn't like, oh, I'm so horrible. And like, it didn't have all of these crazy like connotations with it. It was just like that. It is what it is. Like, I don't have my own place, man. I don't have anywhere to crash. Like, I got like 2 duffel bags and I'm just trucking it. Like, I don't know. It's just silly.
Well, it is a little bit of a thing. But it goes on at the end here. The statement ends with the rich, police, the state, colonial death camp we call Canada. Yes, I do have a little soundboard and I'm playing with it. Okay.
I like the bleeps. I dig the bleeps.
I'm trying. But I mean, all right. So the whole thing, we got a little video here. Let's just go ahead and just pay attention to this. This is dumb.
The Anarchist is a worker-owned, anti-capitalist, anti-colonial cafe, shop, and community space. Gabriel opened the space after leaving Vancouver due to its unwelcoming sense of classism. Though he never felt comfortable working in a coffee shop in BC, he knew if he were to have one of his own, it would have to adopt the values that occupy such a huge part of his life. A place devoted to radical leftist politics, revolution, ending capitalism, improving the world's economic system that benefits everyone and not just elites, and most importantly, sparking conversations that will help implement these ideas. Other than delicious coffee, which Gabriel is most definitely an expert in, the shop has a rich selection of progressive political books that he's selling at wholesale prices. I was happy to try some great light roast espresso here. I even tried my first espresso tonic, which is something of a micro revolution in itself. I highly recommend paying a visit to Gabriel at 190 Jarvis Street, if not for great coffee, for even greater conversation.
I have a question. How do you beat capitalism using a socialist framework by implementing capitalism?
Well, you know what's interesting is that, like, I don't know, there's like that that saying, like, you can be a socialist living within a capitalistic system, but you can't be a capitalist within a socialist system. It's just so, like, the funniest part about that video is like, we're gonna beat capitalism or whatever. It's like, a short-lived battle there, my friend. Because it just doesn't work. There was another store or like cafe, I think it was, somewhere else, where they had it like a just pay what you can type system, and they went under so fast because guess what? When you just tell people to pay what they can, they're gonna pay the absolute bare minimum, if anything, if you require anything from them. And that's just how people are. Like, nobody's gonna come in and just be like, I'm just gonna drop $100 just because I really like what you're doing. Like, maybe a few people here and there, but it's not a good business model. You're gonna go under so fast. You're not gonna be able to keep up with all of, I don't know, overhead and stuff like that. I'm bad with business jargon, but I try.
The thing about this whole business here is yes, it is a pay what you can kind of situation, but only for like their worst of the worst coffee. Everything else had a set price. But they used capitalism in their merchandise. Like, they had like bags and things for sale. Like, the bags cost maybe like $5 to make, and they were selling them for $35-$40. There was a hoodie for like $60 in there.
Well, yeah, it's funny because this guy's whole shtick was like, I hate having commodities. Like, the article says that it drives him crazy, but it's just something he has to do, and he said that he wanted to grow to a point that he could employ more people and then basically create like a co-op. Like, that's what it was. Yeah, like and they sell all kinds of other stuff, like the drinks, food, books, and stuff like that. Radical everything. It really reminds me of like somebody who watched SLC Punk but didn't make it to the end of the movie to learn the lesson. The whole vibe. Like, that's all I was getting.
I mean, just the whole fact that, all right, so you're going to set up a shop. The whole thing is, it's a business to make money, right? So you have to use capitalism to get your raw materials that you needed. Your coffee beans, your supplies, your equipment, everything like that. It all runs at a set price, but yet when you sit there and tell somebody, you just pay what you want whenever you want, how are you going to earn any money at all?
Yeah, well, and it again, it's just the worst business model, because what happens is it's really similar. Like, in a perfect world, people would pay what they are supposed to pay or whatever. But when you give people the option of like of not paying anything, they're gonna go with the not anything. And I think the shop also had like a policy where you could just go in and hang out. You didn't have to buy anything. Again, really bad for business. It just facilitates like people who just want to go somewhere and probably scam off your Wi-Fi and stuff like that, but you're not requiring them to pay. It's like businesses require patronage for a reason. It's not just a place to go hang out. Like, they're there to make money in the end, by providing whatever they provide. And if it's a cool place, people will just go and they'll pay whatever. That's the thing about capitalism, is like, yeah, are some people really greedy about it? Of course. That's just money.
A lot.
That's the name of the game with money. But the great thing is that if you offer enough value, people will pay whatever you're charging just to experience, whether that's a restaurant or a store or a theme park or anything, like, and we complain about it, but we pay it.
Well, I mean, I get the whole socialism aspect of, sharing resources to help everybody out. And in theory, it could work, but it only works when everybody does the exact same process. If one person starts to slack off, it starts to break down. And then people get mad because that person's slacking off, and then everybody else slacks off, and then everything just goes to, it goes to, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna have fun with this.
That's also the biggest flaw in the way that Americans look at systems such as, like, Norway or Sweden or stuff like that, where it is a bit more socialized over there. It's still not like that full system by any means, but we look at that and a lot of people will think, oh, look, they're doing so much better than we are and they're so great and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, you also have to compare everything else about that. And the fact is over there, the culture is much more oriented towards everybody pitches in and, does their fair share. Here, the mindset of the people promoting socialism is tax everybody above this certain point as much as you possibly can, redistribute those assets downwards, and it's not the same type of mindset whatsoever. It's a lot more similar to, like, I don't know, like Venezuela, where it's not comparable by any means. Plus, like, the size of the countries differ greatly. Theirs is much more homogenous, which automatically makes it easier to work together. When you're more homogenous, when everybody kind of believes the same things, when you're more similar than you are different, it's much more cohesive. Here, strength is in diversity is the mantra, but the diversity also makes it difficult to work together. You have to learn how to build bridges a lot better, which we're not good at doing, clearly. But yeah,
No.
and that's just kind of some real surface level stuff in regards to socialism, anyway. But I'm gonna read the Communist Manifesto soon, so I'll get an in-depth look at the framework for that.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I got
You
a
haven't-
couple.
You haven't read it yet?
No, I haven't read the actual Communist Manifesto yet. I've listened to a lot of analyses of it, but I haven't flipped through it myself.
It's a little off-putting when you look
Yeah,
at
I
it,
bet.
and then you start realizing how it ties into our society as a whole, and you're just like, oh God, what's going on?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The Oblivion, what's going on? Oblivion's an old gaming friend of mine. It's been a minute, man. We need to sit back and play again. But,
Bro, we cannot even put up our own shopping carts. Did you see the meme that I posted on Twitter or something? Because I literally just posted a meme the other day with like, the shopping cart thing is actually a really it's a fairly decent indicator of self-governance. Like, if you can do the little things and hold yourself to it, then you're much better along than other people. But I posted a meme on Twitter, and it was like, if you're too big to do the small things, you're too small to do the big things. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was funny.
I don't play around on Twitter. The only time I ever get on Twitter anymore is when you send me something or somebody sends me a link from there.
Yeah, I'm like your intel, your Twitter intel. Twittel.
There's no point in me going on there if I can't do anything, I know.
I mean,
I know.
just make
I
an
know.
account. It's not that
I
big of
know.
a deal. It's like if you had, like, thousands of followers, I would totally get not wanting to. But come on, just make a new one. Join me in the dumpster fire that is Twitter, because it is.
What? So I can just get banned again?
I don't know. I need to take a break from the Twitter for a few days, because there's a couple people on there that are just annoying the crap out of me. But of course, like, that's all I see in my feed for some reason, is like these few people who I'm just like, I'm so tired of hearing your
Because
bad
you
takes.
interact with them all day.
No. I mean, I interact, but yeah, no, they deliver, obviously, more of the stuff you're interacting with, too. Must reduce Twitter by 90%, so the same can be done for the federal government. Haha.
More than that. You have no clue.
Probably more than that.
Look, coming from somebody that used to be a military contractor, I can tell you why a hammer for the military cost $500. They buy the hammer for like $20, and then they got to ship that. There's a process beforehand, because the people actually have to price out what they need. They have to figure out what they need. They have to price it. They have to look for it. They have to find the best deals for it, even though you can go right down the road and buy the same hammer that they're going to give these people. There's a whole long process. Once it finally arrives, then you got shipping and handling. Then you have quality control to come in there and look at it and say, yeah, that's a hammer. Then you have to give it to the project that it's working on, pay the people that actually touch every single step along the way. Any person that even looks at this hammer gets paid from the hammer itself. So that's how a $20 hammer turns into $500. And it's disturbing. You have no clue how much we can actually get rid of from the federal government and still be fine.
Well, not to mention, like, I used to work at this place, okay? And they would just create jobs for people that worked there a really long time. Like there was no need for that job, but they would just be like, you know, somebody would be like, I've worked here for like 10 years, man, and I've dedicated so much time to this, and and I want to get paid more, but you're not gonna give me a promotion or a raise, so like create a job for me. And like that kind of stuff would happen all the time. And so you'd have people just like, we're just gonna create this new position just for you so you can get paid more, and it's fair and it's legit. And that's the federal government.
Yeah. I mean, that is 100% truth. But we got unhoused makes it sound like there's a home somewhere waiting. There is, and it's your house. But yeah. No, it's
You know-
what was that Illinois thing, the Safety Act, where you can't kick somebody out if they just move into your shed?
Oh yeah. You can't. No, so it was like you can't. The police can't do anything about a squatter, right? So it was like it basically put the burden onto the homeowner and was like, you have to just figure out how to deal with this. And I'm like, oh, and then when you actually do deal with it, then you're going to get prosecuted for a crime because, you know, typically you're going to have to use some force to get somebody off of your property who is squatting, who is probably unhinged and kind of crazy and maybe on drugs and all that fun stuff. And it's just like, yay, now homeowners are going to probably get penalized criminally for trying to get somebody off of their property that shouldn't be there.
Not to mention the fact that if somebody unalives another person, they can't go hunting that person for 48 hours. Which means they can flee the country before you can even pick up a pen.
You know what's really frustrating is like I live in Michigan, right? So Chicago isn't that far away, but it's so frustrating to me because like I love the aquarium and I love the museums there and it's super fun, but I'm not going to take my kids. Like not any time with what's going on and all the laws and stuff. I'm like, dude, and it really actually disappoints me because I was like excited for that, like, you know, like, oh, we'll be able to go to the aquarium and we can take the train and it'll be this big fun thing because we love doing the train thing, but it's just not in the cards anymore. I'm not willing to risk it, really. It's just so disappointing. It's like, man, come on. Right? Why is everything gotta be so crazy?
Dave, what they fail to recognize is any word that you use to replace another word still means the same damn thing. Not really. Because they call men women and women birthing people.
Yeah, true that. But so this happens that happens with like offensive words a lot though. Is you'll have a word that is deemed offensive, right? But another word will just end up taking its place because the meaning, you'll just apply that same meaning to a different word that isn't as offensive, but it still denotes the same meaning. You know what I mean? Like it's a phenomenon. Like if you tell a kid not to say a certain word, they might still express the same sentiment that they were with the bad word with a different word, and then the new good word becomes a bad word. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. But I mean, homeless is not like an offensive kind of term. Unhoused,
No,
I
not.
find more offensive calling somebody unhoused than homeless. Because if you're unhoused, that means, well, to me, it just feels like you're unhoused because you don't want to do anything. Homeless means things happen along the way for you not to be able to be in a home.
I don't know.
That's
I
the way
think
it
it's
feels
more,
to me.
I think the mindset is that people, like when you think of a homeless person, you do tend to think of like a bum on the side of the road, like especially in like the big cities and stuff. A lot of people associate that with like drug use and stuff like that. And it's not, but it's because that there's a lot of people who are doing that. It's not because like, I don't know. There's so many different like cases and reasons and things that people end up just, you don't have a place to go. Like that happens all the time. But yeah, I think it's just another example of trying to control language. And when you control the language, you can control perception. And when you control, you know, it just goes down the line. It ends up being thought control, like a type of it anyway.
Yeah, when you control language, you control perception, like trying to say that the dude who was choked out on a subway was the victim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very much Like let's reverse the roles of victim and like offender, and then, but it's in crazy
Offender is
crazy
offensive,
ways.
and I take offense to that.
Self-analyze, guys.
There
what,
you go.
What you're offended by.
See.
But yeah.
Unhoused sounds more like unhinged. Yeah. Yeah, it does. But you know, you want to know what else is unhinged? Australian comedian Isaac Butterfield summoned to court over offensive jokes.
Oh, this one.
No kidding. The Australian comedian.
Sorry. I was just gonna be obnoxious. It's fine. Keep going.
The Australian comedian Isaac Butterfield announced he has been summoned to court over offensive jokes told during performances in Perth, Western Australia in 2022. Queensland Human Rights Commission requested Butterfield's presence after a single person made a complaint on grounds of public vilification based on race, religion, sexual identity, sexuality, and gender identity. Yeah, he discusses it a little bit here, and I kind of made like a little mark on it so you guys can understand what's going on with it here.
Whatever. Okay, so here's the complaint, and I'll keep the person's name private. Okay, so here's the questions. They ask questions to it. Have you been sexually harassed? No. Okay, I'm off to a good start. Congratulations. Do you feel you have been victimized? No. Okay, that's good, I guess. Are you making a complaint about public vilification on the basis of race, religion, sexual identity, sexuality, or gender identity? Yes. Okay, great. So if this Human Rights Commission finds that I am in the wrong, as I said before, they set a precedent that any comedian in this country and perhaps other countries could very well... I don't even know what happens here if I'm found in the wrong. Like, no one's explained that to me. If they do find me in the wrong, then they can be brought before this commission in trouble. Their name is just sort of thrown through the mud. They're a piece of shit. They're a racist, all that type of stuff, just because of a joke. So that...
I want to point out that little sign behind him.
Oh yeah, have you not? Do you not watch Isaac Butterfield?
Yeah, I've seen a few of his things. Yes, I just wanted to point that out because that's funny.
He's got it's part of his little running shtick of all the things he says at the end of videos.
That is the precedent that we're tiptoeing around here. So here's another question. Is this a court? It's actually a tribunal. I don't know the difference between tribunals and courts, and I think that's why I titled the video the way I did. At least originally I titled it about going to court. I just didn't think going to tribunal had the same ring to it. Are you complaining about a breach in your human rights by a public entity or someone who works for a public entity? Yes. Please indicate which of your human rights listed below have been breached. Recognition and equality before the law, cultural rights, generally cultural for Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders people, protection of families and children. Provide details starting with the first event and then proceeding to the second and subsequent events. Tell us what happened. All right, shall we? Isaac Butterfield is a comedian who began his tour The New Normal in early 2022, where he visited Mackay, Townsville, Cairns, Warrnambool, etc, 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 etc. Isaac Butterfield is a well-known comedian. They put comedian in fucking quotation marks. How rude. On his social media accounts. On the 27th of January 2023, the day after Survival Day to many Australian people, Australia Day, of which I'm a proponent of moving the date, just so you know, Isaac Butterfield posted a video on his Instagram social media page with a vilification 1-minute rant. No, it was a stand-up bit, but okay. This was brought to my attention by a friend of mine who felt victimized by Isaac's comments and wanted to share this with me. Some of the comments he made were, because this is always terrible when they put fucking stand-up into just words on a page. White people in Australia never really culturally appropriated Aboriginal culture because there's nothing that we really wanted. Except for the kids. All right, yeah, it sounds fucking horrible. I get it. This is a clear reference to our stolen generation, which is a horrible event, but people make jokes about horrible events all the time. I continue. That's what they wrote. Isaac, I've never seen Aboriginal pornography before, and on top of that, I've never seen an Aboriginal pornographic magazine. Turns out I have. It's known as National Geographic magazine, etc., etc. After receiving public backlash, Isaac deleted his 1-minute video. It actually was taken down. Shortly after. On Saturday the 4th of September, they must mean February, Isaac posted a new video with some context explaining that these discriminating comments are just jokes, because it's a stand-up show. that's what happens there. Again, this was brought to my attention from a friend who had found these comments extremely traumatic, as do I. Isaac tries to justify these racial vilifications by claiming these are jokes, and if we don't like them, not to follow him. Sounds like a pretty standard thing to do. As an Aboriginal woman living somewhere, Isaac's actions and lack thereof understanding has made me feel extremely unsafe, vilified and discriminated against, all the essence of a joke. Okay? As my family and many others were a part of stolen generations, our trauma hasn't healed. The fact that his jokes, in quotation marks again, are out there for all to see makes me feel like I can't protect my daughter. Come on, fuck.
Yeah. So that's the complaint. Because he said something that I don't like, I feel unsafe and traumatized.
Yep. You know what's funny? I made a short TikTok, whatever, and I put it on like all my platforms, right? And I had a couple people like, well, what was the joke? It's like, you don't get, no, it literally doesn't matter. The joke itself does not matter. It's the fact that now, well, and it's been happening for a while, where comedians aren't allowed to tell offensive jokes anymore, depending on who's offended. Like if it's a joke that is from, which is hilarious because a lot of like, I see a lot of like leftist female comedians and none of them are funny. Literally none of them are funny. Like
Not at all.
It's just like your jokes are just virtue signaling. That's all it is. And then everyone goes, ha 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 ha.
And
like,
leftist male comedians aren't even funny either. I mean, look at Stephen Colbert. Look at what's his name? The dude from The Daily Show that took over after Jon Stewart. Trevor Noah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, they're
it's
funny.
not funny anymore at all. There's no comedy to it. It's just let's make fun of people we don't like, and it's just being like mean spirited kind of situation. It's not even pointing out funny things, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just taking shots. Like it's not actually creative in the sense of the reason that there's so much edgy comedy is that it actually takes quite a bit of creative work to make certain things funny, right? Like you have like a horrible tragic incident, and if you can make a joke out of that is actually funny and kind of gives you like a oh no goodness, you know, it's like, well, you've succeeded, you've won, you did a good job of making light of something that is hard for some people to deal with. And there's a lot of people who deal with bad things in their life like that. They have to kind of, you know, the dark humor type of thing. And I don't know, I've always liked like more edgy comedians, I guess I would say, but people don't laugh at themselves anymore. Comedy is all but dead. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. Yeah. And it's funny because, I don't know, the whole idea that anyone would think it's acceptable on any level to, you know, to do this type of thing, to send a comedian to court or a tribunal or commission or whatever it is, you know, over jokes that were made during a stand-up show wherein nobody at the actual show was offended. It was somebody who just watched a clip of it on YouTube Shorts. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just picturing somebody sitting there just like flipping through, and then they see this clip, and then they're in the safety of their own home sitting there going, I feel traumatized and unsafe. No, you don't. Like, you feel offended or emotionally upset. Those are two different things. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's look, if we cannot laugh at, there are stereotypes for a reason kind of situation, and if we can't laugh at them to get over them, we're always going to be stuck in that, and we're never going to move past that point. And I feel like that's actually what they really want with it.
Yep. And it's, I don't know, it's so interesting because like some of the best comedians back in the day were actually pretty liberal, like George Carlin, Lewis Black, which he really fell off the deep end there at the end, which I saw him live at one point. I didn't like go to a show. I was working at his show, but
He was incredibly funny back in the day.
Yeah, and they were all very liberal, right? And it was like the opposite. Like it was the more classically liberal mindset of you should be able to criticize things. You should be able to make jokes that are offensive in nature. You should be able to just say what you want to say and have no penalties from that. But the progressives are running the show in all of the Western countries, and they don't like that because they're the exact same as like the far right. You know what I mean? Like the far left, far right. It's the same thing. It's the exact same tactics, the exact same behaviors. And for some reason, there's like an inability to see that and understand that. There's just no self-awareness.
Hurt by comedy about thousands of violent inmates across our southern border that are seriously going to hurt you. Yeah. Thousands? Try millions.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure not every single one of them are going to hurt somebody, but the southern border is looking like a war zone at this point because Title 42 has stopped. Yeah, cartels are actually starting to take over down there, and it's a disturbing thing to even look at.
Well, I mean, just look at even any big city. It's like more like a war zone than it ever used to be. And it is really interesting in this day and age of, like, if I feel emotionally upset, that means I'm unsafe. Meanwhile, they completely ignore people who are physically unsafe in, like, these big blue cities and just say, oh, you should just let people hit you. You can't fight back, because then you're in the wrong. Because then, like, if you can't defend yourself or other people now, it's wild to me. I don't know how.
Look, you can't defend yourself or other people, or yet you're going to be tried for murder like the dude on the subway. Yet if you take it on a pride flag, you're going to get hate crimes. Like the maximum amount of hate crimes. What? Because a homeless man, the people that they're trying to not vilify, took a dump on a pride flag and wiped his... cleaned himself up with another one. They're going after the maximum penalty for hate crimes.
Which is just wild to me. It's very clear. It's like, if you want to know who is running
and this
things...
is in the same city, by the way. This is still New York City we're talking about.
And it's... But if you want to know who's running things, look at who you can't criticize. Look at who you're not allowed to push back against. And it's so... I don't know, all of the woke crap is so crazy to me. And when you bring it up to somebody who has this mindset, they just throw a million different things at you to try to, like, escape the truth, escape, like, reality. Like, it's like, bro, it's very clear. I don't know. I've had some interactions lately where I'm like, you're just shifting the argument so that you don't have to actually answer or contest with what I've brought up with the points that I've made. And if you have to shift your argument, well, then you don't have a very good argument to begin with.
Not at all. But I guarantee you, if that dude had actually taken a dump on an American flag, he'd be heralded as a hero and probably a millionaire by this point.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that interesting? That, like, not funny, haha, funny, weird. That, you know, you can step on an American flag, you can burn an American flag. No issues there, according to the left. But if you would do the same thing to, like, the pride flag, you know, they lose their minds. And it's just like, bro, why are you... this is so crazy to me. And I used to be a big, like, yeah, burn the flag type of person. I never did anything like that, but I was always like, you know. And now I'm just like, it's just... Like, you should obviously have the right to, you know, it's covered under 1A, but it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, you have the right to. Should you? Probably not. It's insanely disrespectful to the people who have devoted their lives and the families who have lost people in war, and, you know, all the veterans that are serving, all the veterans who are going ignored. And who are having mental health crises, and we're just ignoring them, and nobody cares about them. You care a lot about, you know, the illegal immigrants coming across the border who aren't vetted, but you know, the people who have actually fought for our freedoms, you don't seem to be too concerned about their well-being. It's very...
Or the illegal immigrants that came across the border that were unjabbed. Meanwhile, they forced it down your veins because reasons. Yeah.
Yep.
That happened. But anyway. You want to cut your... Yep, there we go. You want to cut your feed here and go off onto off-label, or...
Yeah, we can do that. So yeah, everybody who's on Freely Ashley's channel, head over to Off Label. I think last few shows we haven't been cutting the feed.
No, the last one we just went all night.
Yeah, but that's typically what we do. So if head over to the Off Label podcast channel, please subscribe over there, because soon we're not going to be streaming on all the platforms. We're gonna just keep it over there, keep it localized.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Tonight is the actual last night we are going to do it on all channels. So y'all definitely go over there. Because I'm trying to be really nice and not screw up Ashley's channel. And I don't want to do that, because that'd just be... I'd feel like a huge butthead if I did that. So yeah. And yeah, she's already having problems with hers on her own, and I don't want to be that problem either. So yeah, tonight's going to be the last night we do that, not to mention the fact that we will be switching up nights very soon, because summer's coming up. You know, everybody's going to be out on Saturday nights and things like that, so we probably may even just switch it to a Sunday thing, just to wrap up everything on a Sunday night, because I mean, nobody's out doing anything on a Sunday, and if you are, well, what are you doing with your life? So, yeah.
Also, my husband always complains that on Sundays there's nothing for him to watch, because, like, you know, he's been through the week, he's seen all the new stuff. There's nobody who does a whole lot of stuff on the weekends, so I feel like a lot of people are probably in that boat. So yeah, I think it's a good chill night.
All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and cut the feed for Ashley's channel, my channel. And we're going to go to the Off Label on YouTube and Rumble only. Definitely go follow that. The links are right there. You can choose whichever one you want, YouTube or Rumble. We will be cutting the YouTube feed, and we have a little Rumble only topic that we do want to talk about. That is kind of it's kind of worrisome, so we will be touching on that as well. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and cut it now. We will see you on the Off Label side. I almost clicked the wrong button and almost ended it all.
Oh no. Don't do that.
I need like a little splash screen for all of this.
I don't know what that means.
We change all that up. Like a little waiting kind of thing, so I can change it all up and, you know, do all that. Yeah. All right, so we are free. All of that. Yeah. We are closed down
beans.
There. But yeah, all right. So we are going to go ahead and... I should have played this, but I didn't want to hurt your channel just in case. But here is the joke that the dude is getting canceled for, ladies and gentlemen.
On the same page. It's so easy to write Aboriginal jokes. They write themselves. The most Aboriginal word in the world, corroboree, has the word robbery in it. White people in Australia never really culturally appropriated Aboriginal culture, because there's nothing that we really wanted except for the kids. Let's be honest, we never looked at tapping sticks and thought, oh, fuck, we need those. I thought I'd never seen Aboriginal pornography before. And on top of that, I thought I'd never seen an Aboriginal pornographic magazine. It turns out I have. It's just known as a different name, National Geographic magazine, all right? One more. This is the piece de resistance. Have you ever seen a transgender Aboriginal... Of course you haven't. They're hard to spot because the ladies already look like blokes. There you go. Okay,
so yeah, that was it. That was the little clip that one person had a fit about and is dragging him in front of a tribunal because it hurt their feelings.
You know what's interesting? So, did you understand the kids reference?
Yes,
Did you
that was the stolen generation where they were taking the
Mm-hmm.
kids away from the Aboriginals. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
was-
okay, so
I
like
get it. I do
in
get
comparison,
it. But come on.
no, that was the worst one, right? Like I would say that's objectively the worst one in that grouping. The other ones weren't like, I don't know, they weren't crazy bad to me, I guess. Like I've heard way worse jokes like that from really big comedians and stuff. I don't know. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that's like, yes, not everyone's going to find that funny. It is offensive. It is offensive on purpose. It is supposed to be offensive. It's supposed to be that kind of like jarring, like, again, like, oh man, I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm laughing. You know, either because of the delivery, the punchline. There's a lot of different ways to make something not funny. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of it is always in the delivery of the joke. If you have a really good delivery, you're going to make people laugh.
Oh yeah.
And there's been comedians that have made jokes that I did not think were funny at all, and I was like, not for me. And then I just went about my merry way and lived my life. Like Chris Rock, we just watched his newest special, and I didn't really think much of it was funny at all. Like I just kind of like sat through it, like okay,
You know,
next.
I never realized how racist Chris Rock was until they started bringing up the racism thing, and I listened to him again, and I was just like, how did I not see this before? I mean, I don't care, but how did I not see all the jokes about, you know, white people and, you know, it's really actually kind of offensive at some of the things he says, but I mean, did I just not pay attention, or did I just not care in either way? The latter is, of course, the truth, but...
Well, it was super popular there for a while, which I think it's always probably been popular, but there was a lot of big comedians for a really long time doing, like, just really offensive jokes towards white people in general. And those were always laughed at, and nobody ever had a problem with those. Like, maybe individuals, but there was never any outrage about that. Like, no. Dave Chappelle is another really big one. He's kind of... he crafts a lot of jokes like that, like at the expense of white people, or making white people out to be the problem, whatever. There's a lot of that stuff that's funny too. Like, although I don't ever understand, like there's certain like stereotypes of white people that I literally don't understand, like the no seasonings thing. It's like, what are you, like white people don't season their food? I'm like, bro, I season my food probably too much. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Especially
so
Italian food. Yeah, you can't eat Italian food without seasoning.
Well, there was like, you know, I don't know, when you learn about even just like coming over on the Mayflower and all the spices, and it was a really big part of that. And
the East India Trade Company was mainly spices. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole thing is just silly. Like, I'm just I don't know. Again, there's jokes that can be made that are super offensive that can be super funny depending on the delivery. It just depends. Right. And I'm just not.
Once we get set up here, we will actually be bringing on other people to talk to us and everything. And just when we get this pushed along a little further, that will be a thing. We were actually going to have Joseph Santos on, but he never got back to me on that one.
Yeah, and I think if we bring anybody on, we just have to, like, we'll probably vet people pretty thoroughly.
Oh, we have to do a fair bit of vetting on that, because it's not just going to be some random person that's just going to be able to tank our channel.
Yeah, I just, there's people who have, like, nefarious intentions, and they'll purposely come on people's streams to like, lead people down a road that they know is going to get like their channel banned or flagged or something of that nature. I see it all the time with live stuff. So just
you never check the Discord, Joseph. But yeah, if we feel like it's going to be something like really controversial or something, we'll definitely make it a Rumble only thing. We actually want to start doing like little Rumble only segments to where we can let loose a little bit more. Some things, but yeah, some things we just can't do on YouTube.
Gotta play the game. Stupid.
Yeah.
It's so wild to me because like back in the day, YouTube used to be just so crazy. Like the landscape was just nuts. Just like Tourette's guy and stuff like that. Like that would never fly anymore. Would never fly.
God,
it's
no.
So popular.
But yeah. All right, so I don't even know how to take this next story. This just seems like a waste situation, but I kind of understand why. Because Instagram is kind of a very leftist platform, so I can understand why they're doing this. But Instagram is reportedly testing a Twitter competitor, and the first leaked images indicate a summer release. Let's see, the Instagram for your thoughts being built by Meta is to compete with Elon Musk's Twitter, could launch as soon as next month, according to several reports. Meta is meeting with influencers to discuss the app's future, according to reports from Bloomberg, The Verge, the site Leah Haberman. Who is Leah Haberman?
A Substack writer who teaches about social and influencing marketing. Is that right?
I don't know. Let's see. Leah Haberman.
It literally says it.
I teach social influencing marketing in UCLA. I don't know. Interested in how people connect and.
It literally says it in the article after her name.
Does it? I wasn't even
that's
reading
what I
past
just
that.
read.
Okay. So,
Oh, that's what I just read.
my bad.
It's okay. I did that the other week, I think, where I said something and then the next sentence I read, I was like, I should have just kept reading, bro. Like, I
Right?
forgot about that part.
Let's see. But yeah, it's citing conversations with the creator who met with Meta. Haberman confirmed some previously reported details about the app, including plans for it to be decentralized, reported by Platformer in March. She also reported that the app could be released as soon as next month. All right, so according to this thing right here, share this tab instead. It is trying to compete with Twitter. But I know how this is going to be. It's kind of like what Mastodon, like when Elon Musk was trying to buy Twitter, they were just like, oh no, come to Mastodon. And then Mastodon started banning every single person that was on that side. So they started banning themselves because there wasn't right-wing people on there. So yeah, I feel like this is going to be the same thing. Like Instagram is going to turn to shit very fast.
Well, you know what's interesting is Instagram just tends to copy everybody. Like, so when TikTok got really big and Instagram was realizing that they weren't able to compete with just their photos, well, then Reels came along. And, you know, I mean, like YouTube did the same thing with Shorts, obviously. But, I don't know. I feel like Instagram is much more geared towards copying because then recently, within the last few months, I think they introduced like a subscription, like, you pay for Meta and you get verified and you get a check mark, and it's the exact same thing that Twitter did. And now all of a sudden that makes a lot more sense too now because they're trying to directly compete with Twitter. So it does make sense to me that like the Zuck wants to kind of create this platform to combat Elon Musk essentially, but it's just going to be a leftist echo chamber. Like we'll all go on there and we'll all argue and all the fun things. I don't think a lot of people will like. I don't think a lot of people who are right leaning or anti woke or whatever you want to classify it as are going to like flock over there. I think it's gonna just be like now I have to go on this other platform so that it's not a freaking echo chamber and I can, you know, kind of weed through all the crap. And maybe they won't, but I feel like that's a big reason why I'm like on TikTok still. Is TikTok like annoys me at this point. I don't watch it anymore. Like it's rare that I like actually scroll through TikTok. I tend to just go and I make my content maybe once or twice a week. If that. Today I posted like 3 videos on TikTok. It's a big TikTok day for me. But
Oh.
yeah. Well, it's just funny to me because like when I first started on there, I was posting so much, and then over time I was just like, bro, like I can't post this much. And my kids also just got older and louder. They run around a whole lot more. I used to be able to kind of like dip into the other room really quick, film a video, and then like, you know, and now they follow me. and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a bit more challenging, but and I don't, because I don't like to like film when my kids are like screaming in the background and stuff like that. It makes me feel like a bad mom. But so yeah, but anyway, sorry, I got off track. Instagram, yeah, I think I'll be interested to see how this plays out. I was intrigued greatly when I read that article. I was like, well, we'll see how this goes, but they're not like they're not doing anything groundbreaking. They're just copying everybody. Yeah, and it was twice as much as Twitter, and no one was mad at Meta. Yeah, isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how, because when I read that, I was like, oh, look, they're copying Twitter. And then I looked at the price and I was like, it's like $15 a month. Who is paying for this? Like, I can't imagine what a business account is like over there, because on Twitter, it's like an organization is like $1,000 a month or something. It's crazy. And
yeah,
the whole thing is just silly.
And they bring on a WEF representative as the new CEO. I told y'all Elon Musk is not your hero.
Yeah, I think I might, I don't know. I'm going to see how this plays out, but if it starts going downhill real fast, because I pay for Twitter Blue right now, because I wanted to try it out, which I don't even really use a lot of the features. Like, I don't, because I actually, it annoys me to have to click on, like, because you can write longer posts, right? But it annoys me to have to click on the see more when I have to do it, and then to see like a whole scroll, which that's the other thing too, is this Instagram one, the character post can be like 500 characters, and that's quite a bit. And so it's like over double of what the original, like the OG Twitter was. And then you can have like
wasn't it
photos.
160 characters at the very beginning? Something like that for Twitter.
Was it 160 or 128? Because now it's 260 characters is the standard. And it used to be much smaller. It was even worse. You could like type like a sentence or two.
I feel like the old days of Twitter, I feel like, was where everybody started getting that love for short form, because you put out just a stupid idea with absolutely no context, and everybody loves it. You could say the most innocuous thing, and it makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and Twitter's weird because like I only really started paying attention to it like, I don't know, like maybe 6 months ago. And before that, like back in the day, I had a Twitter, like way long ago. And it was like, I like treated it, like everybody around me treated it like Facebook. So you just be like, I'm going shopping, and it was stupid, and it didn't, like, nobody cared. And I was just like, at some point I deleted my old Twitter, way back when, because I was like, this app is weird and I don't know how to use it, and I would just go to Facebook. But yeah, and then I started using it for, recently, and was like, oh, Twitter is crazy. That's what it is. Twitter is just a crazy place.
You boomer.
Yeah,
no, it is like the reverse chronological order thing. I mean, if everything just like popped up in place with things, like trying to follow somebody with an idea or a story or something, kind of like the Twitter files or some of the court cases that I'm kind of wrapping my mind around sometimes. Like following that, it's like you have to find the very first one of it and then follow through this thread, and the thread's over. Now we got to go back to the next one. That's probably 1,000 posts down to grab that. It's, oh my God, it gets annoying. I mean, I know you can bookmark these things, but why? Why is this a thing? Just let it all be in one section. If you could even like switch it instead of a thread, do it to where it could be like a section in their post or something. Well,
so there are people who are very, very good at crafting threads, and like you have to learn how to be good at that to get them shared and get people interested and stuff like that. So there are people who are like experts at it, right? And then there are people who are just like trying. But like the Twitter files was really frustrating and has been really frustrating for me. Like I was gonna do a video on it, and then it just got so big, and I was like, I don't feel like I want to devote this much time, because I would have to devote like days to like not only just compiling everything, but filming and all of the crazy editing, like I kind of gave up because I was like, and there was so much happening, and they kept waiting way too long. Like they should have had all of this set up. They should have had all the threads written out and saved as drafts and then posted. You know what I mean? But instead they were like, I feel like some of them were like that, but then they would like live tweet a bunch of stuff too and add to it. And then there would be like thread, and then all of a sudden like a deleted post or a gap. And then you'd have to, you know, and they have like apps on Twitter where you can do like thread reader, and it unrolls the thread and it basically puts it in a different spot and puts it all together. So you can just read it without having to deal with the threads. But yeah, if you don't know how to
get an
build
app
a thread,
just to do that, you know, just
no,
have
it's
it
not
there.
It's not a separate app. It's like on Twitter. It's a bot on Twitter, and so you just tag the bot, and then it just gives you the thing, and it just takes you to like a different screen. I think you know what I mean. Like, and you can read it all. That's how
It's still way too weird. I mean, like, even if you just like set folders for it, you know, like this belongs in this folder, like the Twitter files for day one in this folder, or you know, something like that.
I think what they should have done, and also it made it very difficult to follow the Twitter files because it was so many different people, and a lot of the times like Musk wouldn't always like retweet it and stuff. So I was just like, bro, like I have to figure out who's writing this. And a lot of the journalists I hadn't heard of prior to the Twitter files, right? Which is actually really funny because Matt Taibbi was a big one, and I recently just found a book that we purchased from Goodwill forever ago by Matt Taibbi. Like, it was super weird. I was just like, we have his book, and it's called like Griftopia or something like that. And I was intrigued to read it, but that's like I have so many things to get through before that. But it was just a funny thing. But yeah, so the whole thing just really frustrated me, and I still don't know if there's an actual like article I can go read somewhere that compiles all of that information. Like, I think maybe because Barry Weiss's part is the Free Press, or I think she created that publication, so maybe it's on there somewhere. Maybe I should go check it out. But yeah, the whole thing was just really frustrating in my opinion. I don't know if anybody else felt like that. I mean, you did, but
I mean, I can understand why they released it little segments at a time like that, because everything that they did, it was a different subject altogether. But yeah, it should have been in just like one area. You set it all up beforehand, and then you release it all at the same time, kind of situation. Should have already been set up like a draft, like you were saying. But just going through it live like that, it just got overwhelming, and I was just like, there's so much here. I need to just kind of like, I'm backing off and letting other people take care of that, because nah.
Yeah, like the people who like, I think the Quartering did a lot of that stuff live, and like he would go through it, and by the time, like, because I think I was gonna do on the first set of Twitter files, and by the time I got around to being able to do all of that, the third I think was out, and that was huge, and I was like, I can't, I'm not this person, I'm not gonna, this isn't something that I want to dedicate so much of my time towards. When I have all these other things that I want to talk about instead. So it's just kind of, frustrating. But again, I don't know if anybody knows of like an actual article that I could go just read literally all of the Twitter files in, please let me know, because I would like to do that. Because I definitely missed. Yeah, I missed a lot of that stuff. And that's that was the problem with the way they released it. They should have done it within the span of 1 week. They should have had everything lined up and just every single day did a new thing. But there were so many times where they'd be like, oh, we're doing a new Twitter file, and then nothing would happen, nothing would come out, there'd be no comment about it, there'd be no explanation of why nobody's seeing it. I don't know, whole thing. Anyway, I think it was just they dropped the ball big time on how they distributed that information.
Right. Okay, so last little story on YouTube here for everybody. Of course, the Kari Lake trial. Everybody's been kind of wondering what's going on with that. You know, she had her questioning about the 2022 situation Little bit of a backstory before we get started here, just to kind of catch you up on everything. What had happened with all of her claims? Yes, she brought up a whole bunch of claims. Every single one of them were, except for, well, every single one of them were dismissed. There was one about verification signatures that went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court made a ruling, said, nah, look, you can't dismiss the case because your argument was she needed to file the lawsuit about signature verifications before anybody signed a piece of paper. How does that make any sense? So the Supreme Court kicked it back down to the very same judge that tried to dismiss it. It raised a red flag in my mind, and I did ask Rob about this. The clips that we will be going through here come from him. Anything legal, I'm going to that man for from now on because he does an incredible job keeping up with it and just going through everything. But yeah, it's become a very, very interesting trial, and I got a few clips here. This was a 3-day trial. Each day lasted around anywhere between 8 to 10 hours. So it was a long thing. Rob sat down through all 3 days and went through the entire thing live. And it was grueling. I didn't bring all the other stories came from Ashley because I was so wrapped up into this one. I didn't see anything else come across except for a few things where I was just like, yeah, that I made videos about. But yeah. So the trial started on Wednesday. And of course, I did ask him a question about this. Now, this was on day 2 of this. I did ask him a question about the judge, and I kind of have to agree with him. Like, you know, I was, well, you can just hear it.
We had another one from Voice of the People. Says, is this the judge that tried to dismiss the case the first time? Wouldn't it make sense to have another judge oversee to remove bias for embarrassment? It's a good question. Yeah, this judge originally did dismiss the case. He originally dismissed this count in the first place. It went all the way back up to the top. Supreme Court said, Judge, you dismissed it inappropriately, and sent it back down to the judge to do it again. I don't, to be perfectly honest with you here, I don't see any bias in this judge. I think this judge has been extremely, extremely lenient. He could have gone the other way on a couple things, and he hasn't. So I don't think anybody's alleging bias. You know, I don't think even Kari Lake's team is alleging bias, as far as I know. So the default is that judges are not biased, just as a general rule. You know, we just, you know, they're judges. You're honorable, they have integrity, and they do, as a general rule. Judges do, you know, and they really are. There are really a lot of amazing judges out there. And this judge, from what we have seen here, you know, this judge could have given a couple backhands today and didn't do that. And he's also holding the government to certain, you know, they're objecting all the time over kind of some nonsense things. He said, what are you talking about? You know, come on, get out of here. So I think it's a pretty neutral take thus far. And we've seen the opposite, right? We just listened to another case with Judge Kaplan, you know, over on the Trump trial. So judges, you default to unless there's cause or some bases to make a change. And I just don't think that we're anywhere near that yet.
Yeah, he is right. Throughout the entire thing, I've never seen anything that would kind of signify the judge being biased in any way. As a matter of fact, he has let both sides do some shady things. He has smacked the hands of both sides over the stupidest things that they try to bring up. Like he was saying, you know, the people that were on Hobbs' case were objecting for stupid things. Like they were going through averages and percentages of the ballots and things like that, and the guy's like, this sounds like statistical analysis, and this dude isn't qualified for that. He shouldn't be able to speak. And it was just, shut up. Really. This court case went 8 to 10 hours a day every single day, because every single person that got up on the stand for Kari Lake, or anything that may have looked good in any way for Kari Lake, it was objection. I feel like this is going to hurt our case. Take it out. that's what they were doing. So yeah, but the judge did seem kind of impartial. At the very beginning, he did seem kind of like, Jesus Christ, you know, it brought it to a red flag in my mind because it didn't look like he was paying attention. Number one, and number two, it was just kind of like, okay, so I tried to dismiss this. The Supreme Court said no. Now I'm kind of embarrassed about it. So let's be an asshat about it. But I haven't seen that in that case. So yeah. But as far as the way this has changed, it does worry me a little bit as far as that goes, because everything that they have to prove for Kari Lake is almost an impossibility. Yet somehow they're actually making that case. Listen to the way the judge says the only way for Kari Lake to win
is in session, and then we'll of course jump over there. But I want to start by taking a look at some activity that hit the docket today, and looks like it's going to be kind of a tough road ahead for Kari Lake today. There was a minute entry that we read yesterday, which you recall was the judge requiring Kari Lake to prove that there was zero, not any, not one, even at all, level 2 or level 3 signature checks. And we sat here going, what? That's going to basically be impossible for Kari Lake's team to prove. Now, what I was explaining is Kari Lake got an order from the...
I did cut a lot of this up because while he was doing all this live, there was a lot of things that were just kind of interrupting. So yeah, this is cut up a fair little bit.
The judge was saying that you cannot, if you have any level 2 or level 3 signature checks, you lose your case. So they submitted a motion for relief to go back and check in on that. They said, Judge, that's ridiculous. We want to show that the process was bad, that what was taking place in the signature verification process was problematic, not whether or not it happened. The judge is saying if they did any level 2 or level 3, then that is going to be meaning that Kari Lake loses. So let's run through this very briefly, because this is what the judge just said. This entry came out yesterday, 6:45 p.m. before trial. Judge says, the court considered Kari Lake's motion, as stated previously. Kari Lake at oral arguments and in her reply narrowed the claim. This is a claim saying that there was a wholesale failure to conduct a process or a procedure required by law. Okay, so the judge is interpreting Kari Lake's opinion to say, or her original complaint, to say that they didn't do the signatures at all, not that the process of doing the signatures was bad. A party is bound, the judge says, by factual concessions or admissions made in its pleading. So they're saying Kari Lake and her team really narrowed it, saying the court is now obliged in considering a motion to indulge all inferences to the non-moving party. And we do hold Kari Lake and her lawyer's representation of the scope of her claim at trial that no signature verification was conducted. Okay, so like extremely narrow, zero. And we know that's not true. We know that there was signature verification that took place. We weren't happy with how it was conducted. So the judge says, well, the most liberal reading of paragraph 16 of Kari Lake's complaint is broad enough to encompass the current theory, saying Maricopa County officials allowed tens of thousands of ballots with signatures mismatches like this one, referring to an image with no signature. There was no signature on there to be counted. And they did the same thing in the general election. The image and allegation are not taken as substantive but demonstrative to demonstrate there was no signature present, but it was still counted. Read broadly, as the court must, this states a claim that no signature verification was conducted at level 1, in addition to level 2 and level 3, did not occur. The court recognizes the contradiction between this new theory and other allegations, specifically that her own affiants declare they conducted signature reviews at other levels. This court will give the affidavits and the evidence presented at trial the weight that it is due, but Kari Lake is further bound by her concession that she brings a specific type of claim. She challenges under Reyes a failure to act, not failure in the action, okay, not failure on any particular ballot. So in other words, the court concludes that the broadest possible reading of the complaint, Kari Lake's, could allow Kari Lake to allege level 1 violations as well as her other theories. So Kari Lake will be allowed to present evidence that Maricopa County failed to conduct any level 1 signatures. Because the court rules on 60B1 grounds, the court does not address plaintiff's arguments to newly discovered evidence, can't bring in new stuff. Any objections to evidence, newly discovered or otherwise, will be handled at trial. We'll deal with it soon. It is therefore ordered, look, granting the motion to the extent that Kari Lake seeks to challenge the alleged absence of level 1 signature verifications. It's further ordered denying all other relief. So what I'm reading this as is that Kari Lake now has to show that there was not even any level 1 signature verifications in addition to level 2 or level 3. Because again, it's about whether they did it or not how they did it. The judge is interpreting Kari Lake as saying you failed to act, not that you acted badly. And so she can't talk about acting badly. She can only talk about failures to act. But we know that they did level 1 and level 2 and probably level 3, right? The data will show that. That's not the argument that she's making, but the judge is reinterpreting it to make that the argument. So it's going to be difficult, I think, for Kari Lake to make that case if this is the standard the judge is going to be requiring.
Yes. Okay. From that whole thing, that is the way Kari Lake's lawyers had made the case with their documentation. It is kind of true that that's what they were trying to suggest, is no signature verification was ever done, and they're going to try to prove that because they messed up the wording. Kind of like with Sydney Watson and the Blaze, that everybody's pissed at her because she used the term misogyny and things like that. Well, it was the lawyer that wrote that information, not her. So the lawyer fucked all that up, and now she's getting social backlash from that. Just like the lawyers are somewhat screwing Kari Lake because of the way they described it in there. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, nah, she's lost. There's no way. Because how can you argue that no signature verification was done when we see loads of evidence that it was done? So I was like, yeah, this is a BS claim kind of situation.
Yeah, they worded it very poorly. Like they should have been more concise in their language, and that's legal matters. That matters a lot. That's very important because it's very easy to mess up your own court case by framing it the wrong way.
Yeah, it does say that no signature was verified. Doesn't say who the votes are for. I mean, it really doesn't matter because what we've seen from this trial, it doesn't matter. I mean, honestly, I think the whole thing should be thrown out and done again because it is very, very, very disturbing. Now, there was a woman, the first witness that ever came on. She was talking about like there's level 1, level 2, and level 3. Think of it like any kind of customer service kind of situation where you call in. You got one person that answers the phone, tries to get the basics done. If they can't get the basics done, they kick it up to another person that's got more privileges and do more things. If they can't do it, they take it to a manager or something like that. Same kind of situation. You bring in a signature verification expert to sit down, look at it. It looks right. Okay, good. Something doesn't look right here. Might be a little bit suspicious. Let's send it up to level 2. Now, this is completely wrong. Everything about it, reject kind of situation. So it's still the same kind of setup. So, yes, there was signature verification done. However, because they messed up the language, they had to wrap it up as in the process was so horribly bad that nothing was ever done anyway, because it was crap. And it really was. And it's disturbing. But the first witness they had brought on was talking about, she was a level 1. She was going through all the signatures and everything. And there was so much that they were just trying to reject over and over and over again because, of course, missing signatures. The signatures didn't look right. None of the signatures matched up. They were throwing everything at these level 2s which there weren't a lot of level 2 agents who got so overwhelmed because of that they would throw that back down to the level 1 agents, of course doubling up the workload that they were actually trying to do. She was laying out the case for that, and it's with this witness. They tried to entrap her and make her admit to a crime just to shut her up. Bring that back up.
Video screen of the gentleman with the left monitor?
Yes.
No, wait. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead on that. This is the same witness that was talking about the level 1, level 2 thing. Now, this is what we're about to witness here, is the claim that they were trying to make about the process not being done because of the video that was coming up, and of course the process on paper with the averages and percentages and things, which will come up later, that'll show you. But yeah, this is the video that started the whole thing in the first place.
Don't know what video they're playing. Looks like we can see a sliver of it right here.
Using this document or this video.
Yeah, see, there was
Demonstrative.
that was the first objection, is just like, hey, we don't know what this is. We don't know where it came from. We can't use this, even though both sides had it and agreed for it to be used. Where is that? Here it is. But I was just going to highlight that, but never mind.
They're watching this video, I believe, the one that we
watch
watched
this.
earlier. Let's play it again. I think they're watching this right now, which shows two people side by side in Maricopa County Tabulation Center. So two people sitting at stations here. This person is not even scrolling on the screen. This person is just clicking approve, 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 and has already gotten through 16 ballots, while the person on the right is actually scrolling. Okay, they see up here, scroll down, match it, click a button, okay, approve, number 4. Scroll up, scroll down, look at the name, okay, yeah, name matches, that looks good. Okay, scroll back up, and he's going to approve it, and then that's going to be for him. Any minute, he's looking at all the things, he's reading it, studying it, scrolling back up, scrolling around. Oh, there it is. Click it. 5. Got 5 done. This other person is just boom, boom, boom. 42, 43, 44, 45, 46 to 6, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Boom, bing, bing, bing. This person's just hitting them out of the park. Finally, number 7, 54. This is like embarrassing. Bro, don't you know how to rig elections? Click faster. What are you doing in Maricopa County? And hey, if you haven't liked this video like this guy in the red here. Pretend like you're a Maricopa County election worker and like this video wherever it is you're watching it.
Do as the lawyer says and like the video. No, but that was just, it was incredibly disturbing when I saw that and they were bringing it up, and I was like, no, what? You can't sit there and tell me, okay, I get it. There was less than 200 people involved for like almost 1.5 million ballots. It's a long process. Well, you fail in that aspect in the first place. That's why it took so long for Arizona to certify.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the dude's just like, approve, 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 approve. And a lot of the things that very same person was approving, there's no way, even if you glanced at it, would have been approved in any way, because they were different names altogether. There was one that was like matched up. It looked like just 88 with squiggles through it. And another signature was an actual person's name. You know, there was so much going on in there that this whole malfeasance of signature verification, it formed from, was it done? Yes. But was it done correctly? Of course not. So if it's not done correctly, was it ever done? And that's the argument that they had to make with that. Honestly, going through the whole thing, they did make a good argument for that case. And there is this clip right here is the one I wanted to show you about how they tried to get this witness to admit crime just to shut her up.
Okay.
So I want to talk about the three servers that We the People Arizona has. And first, I want to ask, are they We the People Arizona's servers? Is that right?
So yes, two of the servers are actually owned by us, and one of them we sublease.
Okay, one you sublease. And do you have data from Maricopa County on all these servers?
I can confirm for sure on two of the servers. On the third server, I can't say for sure, to be honest.
Okay. Do you have data on the server that you sublease?
No, sir.
Okay, that's the one you can't
That's the
confirm.
one I can't confirm.
Okay, all right, very good. Now, on those servers, any of the three, does We the People Arizona have any images of Maricopa County early ballot affidavit envelopes with signatures?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does We the People Arizona have on any of those servers any other signatures from Maricopa County that come from the voter registration database maintained by the recorder?
I'd like to pose an objection. I'm not sure how this is relevant to authentication.
Your Honor, they opened the door talking about servers. I would like to find out what data they're storing, because there are laws in Arizona about who is allowed to possess voter registration data and what they're allowed to do with it.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit squirrely. If she starts making admissions like, yeah, we've got all their records, we've scraped everything, we've got pictures of the names and the ballots and all the stuff. She, he's trying to get her to admit a crime, essentially. That she was scraping all of these things and cross-referencing, indexing a bunch of stuff, and in doing so violated the law. So he's being very, very sneaky here. And I thought he was going to go into the server, right? The third-party server.
Referring to civil or criminal statutes.
I'm referring to,
Probably criminal, or both.
just a minute, Your Honor. I want to be sure I don't answer you incorrectly. Your Honor, I cannot say with certainty, but my understanding as I stand before you today and my belief is that it is only a criminal penalty.
Only.
I'm
That's
not
the
aware
worst.
of a civil penalty attaching.
Only, no, that is the worst one. He's trying to get her for a crime right now. Be very careful here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go any further with it. The judge kind of stops the whole thing, and he's just like, no, you ain't doing this. You ain't doing this.
Yeah.
Tells the woman, look, none of these are your lawyers. Don't get that confused. Don't be saying anything in this case, because I don't want you to be hemmed up in this. For this reason, we're gonna move past this point. The defense lawyers tried to make that woman admit to a crime that she did not commit. And they were trying to say, hey, criminal case here. You want to talk or not? Yeah, that it was a very disgusting kind of setup from them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wanted to highlight that because that was incredibly disturbing to sit there and watch, because you're in an election case and you're trying to get people to admit to crimes so that way they go to jail for what you've done. You know, it was insane to sit there and listen to that. But I wanted to highlight that because it's just like I was working and that was going on while I was listening, and I was just like, wait, what? Are you seriously trying to do this? Hold up. So yeah. There was also another witness that had done a little. It was on a Zoom meeting that all of this was, and apparently the courthouse for Maricopa County has some crap internet because everything's just like top motion play animation things. Even the screen kind of glitches out all the time. Even during the closing statements, they lost the feed to the entire courthouse. Not just their case, the entire courthouse. So yeah, they have some crap internet over there.
Feel that.
But one of the witnesses, I'm just gonna let you read that.
Did you have any concerns about the number of level 2 signature verifiers in light of the additional ballots or signatures coming in for the 2022 general?
Better question.
Didn't make sense. And I don't know if they just, it didn't make sense that we were going to double the number of ballots that were, or affidavits that need to be checked, and we're going to double the workload, but they did not change the number of allotment of level 2 verifiers.
All this work, no one to do it.
Did you
Means you can't do it.
witness any disruption caused in the 2022 general primary by these additional ballots coming in with respect to the level 2 signature verification process?
You just asked the primary. That's what you said.
My apologies, John. Mr. Myers, with respect to the 2022 general election, did you witness any disruption in the process of signature verification with the additional ballot signatures coming in while maintaining the same number of level 2 signature verification workers?
I just don't know how they did it because, you know, and I know one of them was staying late, but I just don't know how they accomplished with just 3 verifiers or level 2.
Woodpecker.
They were working hard in the primary.
Woodpecker. They were working hard in the primary.
I had to point that out because it was pretty funny to me. But yeah, from what the dude was saying is during the general, it was okay enough because there was, you know, it wasn't that many, but during the primaries, that there was a lot going on. There were so many of them that they only had a handful of level 2s, so they were getting overwhelmed, which backs up the claim of the first woman who said we were sending so many up to them and they were kicking it back to the level 1s because they got overwhelmed. Court got the same internet as Spirit Airlines. Yes. Apparently, yes. It's all stop motion, like 20 seconds behind the audio. But yeah. So yeah, it was for that dude. He was one of the people that were overseeing the whole election verification thing, and he was just like, I don't understand how they did it so fast. I don't understand how they did it at all with that many people or with that little people. So yeah, that kind of almost hit a home run for Kari Lake in that one. And yeah, the lawyers for Hobbs really had no answer to that other than, well, you don't know what you're talking about kind of situation. They were just trying to destroy the dude's credibility and just trying to say, well, you weren't always there, so you don't know how anything was done correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was almost the home run in that whole trial for that. But what? Oh, this witness here, I love this. Now in this one case, that video that we saw, right, of the guy just clicking through things, they admitted that they removed him from the line because he wasn't doing it correctly, right? They admitted they removed him from his spot and put him somewhere else. So this dude testifies that everything that they did was 100% correct.
With respect to, I'll just call him the user. Are we clear on that? The gentleman in the video?
Yes.
Yeah. If you saw a level 1 reviewer simply clicking through signatures like that, what would you do?
I would think they were doing what they were told to do in that particular circumstance, which I think you took out of context.
Oh.
If you knew the rules were you do signature verification.
Understood.
And you scroll. Then when you're done, you back in, just as one of the witnesses said, and you arrow back through what you've done. So you would and could, what that could be reflecting is exactly that individual doing their second review, which means you're just clicking through to see the statuses you set as fast as that.
Okay. So
Perfectly
you
legitimate, that
believe
video.
this person was simply going back
what he
in
says.
time in that scripted video?
That's what is required of all of our staff to finish
They're
their
just
batch of
checking their
250, then go back
checking their work.
through.
That's it.
I understand. Is it possible that this particular user verified 33,624 ballot affidavit envelopes in an average rate of 2.4 seconds?
It is possible because, again, there is no set peer-reviewed timeline to check a signature, but I don't know the exact data that you may have, but it is possible to look at signatures. A no signature would take you less than half a second to say it's a no, an exception. As an
Okay,
example.
so it's your testimony that you didn't
this
find
right
anything
here.
wrong with what the gentleman was doing?
It's my testimony that I think that's misconstrued.
Uh-huh.
I personally don't even know, but other than the fact that I do know protocol required and is trained to every single temp staff member or FTE that they complete their batch and then they work their way backward as was testified to, and that all that requires is for you to click back through your work, not to re-review. So
Hit
it
him
can
with this.
happen in under a second
Rob brings up a great point about what I was saying about the dude being removed.
or a click to just see what status did you set
Right.
for committing that batch as final.
But in opening arguments, didn't your team say that you removed that guy from the line? Wasn't he pulled? Why was he pulled
That's fair. And we'll
if
talk
that
more
was
about
all
that
legitimate?
tomorrow.
Why did they pull him off the line? Ask the question. Why wasn't he pulled off the line? During opening arguments, you said that this guy was removed. Why? If that was perfectly
Is it possible
legitimate.
for
Yeah. The dude tried to sit there and say that in an average rate of 2.6 seconds, somebody can verify over 33,000 signatures. Like 2.6 seconds. That's less than 3 seconds to say, yeah, that's good. 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 Without scrolling, without looking, you can approve it. And it's perfectly legitimate, and you can do so without being a badass expert in your field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it flies. I think it's so crazy. Well, yeah, that could be totally legitimate. No, it's not. No, it's not. And we all know it. And you know it. And you're trying so hard to cope. No,
Yeah, there is no way that could be done in that amount of time. There is no way. And which one was this? Oh, this is great. Now this next person that they bring on, dude knocked it out of the park. Now he was a witness for Kari Lake. Knocked it out the park. I mean, home run every single time. And again, the only thing the Hobbs lawyers could do was stand up and say, hey, you've been to over 400 court cases, right? Yeah. You've been an expert in over a lot of these cases, right? Yeah. Okay, you're a signature analysis person, right? Yeah. So why did these 3 judges in all of those 400 cases that you were involved in, why did they say they didn't like your testimony? Trying to destroy his credibility. And the dude answers back. He's just like, yeah, well, what that lawyer was asking about, he didn't read any further. He didn't even read the next paragraph in this where it says, well, yeah, I did fine. The judge just didn't like what I had to say. It was funny to listen to. Yeah, I got to go back. Like I said, it's 24, 25 hours of all of this. But this dude was perfect. Now we're going to get into the ballots that raised the alarm. And this is where the case really hits home. And this is why I say, I think I don't have high hopes for this trial. I really don't. But this is why we have mistrust in our elections, in our government, in our institutions. Check this out.
Hey, real quick, I'm gonna
And
drop
Mr.
off for a
Speakin,
second, but I'll be right
just
back.
to
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Of course, we'll dismiss the case. It's weak. Is it though? Is it though?
to recap, since we're starting after lunch, where it says verifications in less than or equal to 5 seconds, and
Oh, before we get in further into this, they've already tried it twice. The plaintiff, the plaintiff's lawyers tried to dismiss twice. Went for a direct verdict before at the end of day 2, and the judge denied that.
3 seconds and 2 seconds at the top column. That means in simple terms,
This is just
in less
setting
than
everything
6
up here.
seconds, where it says 5, and then 3 means in less than 4 seconds. And then where the column says in less than or equal to 2 seconds, that means less than 3 seconds in simple terms, correct?
In simple terms, that's what it means, correct.
User 9.
She's got it now. I've got it here on my screen. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey, nice. We get some charts.
Defendants have made a number of inaccurate statements.
Okay. So on user 001, verifications overall 6,791. Verification rate overall 73.92, which means verifications were, yes, they were things. Let's see. Verifications in less than 5 seconds, 5,484. Verification rate 78%. Verification in 3 seconds, 5,149. Verification rate of 3 seconds is 79.9%. Verification in less than 2 seconds, 4,772. Verification rate of 80.45%. User 7, 8, and 9, 2,000, 4,000, 1,000. Their verifications in less than 2 seconds. User 7 had 5. I can understand. You've seen that before, you know it's good. Because it was kicked back down to level 1 agents. You've seen that before, you know it's good. 58. Maybe they were easy. Maybe you just wanted to get through some. Maybe you've seen them before at a rate of 58. I don't think that's going to be all that. But that was 100%. User number 9 looked at 1,437. They verified in less than 2 seconds 1,309. And their verification rate of 2 seconds is less than 0. Or was 0%. This person right here, user number 9, looked at all of them. And none of them were verified in less than 5 seconds. So they did their job correctly.
With respect to this exhibit. First, with respect to users 9 and 26, Mr. Valenzuela, in attempting to
You need to pay
reduce
attention to the case,
number
Joseph.
of
Don't just go off mainstream media
signature
bullshit, brother.
verifications that were performed, claimed that Mr. Spakeen, in his testimony, included the number from user number 9 and user number 26 when he opined that 274,000 signatures were compared and verified in less than 3 seconds. Recall counsel for Maricopa went through this exercise of trying to reduce the number. Mr. Spakeen expressly testified that he did not include the figures from user number 9, which is 1,309 ballots and 44,361 respectively, in that calculation. Thus, he testified, Your Honor, if you flip to the last page,
Got user 135
in the
circled.
column to the right, which is the number of ballots that were
User 135 went through 55,784 ballots. 24,414 were approved in less than 2 seconds with an approval rate of 99.88%. Did he verify? Or did he just click like the dude in the video did?
Compared and verified in 3 seconds or less. That's basically just above zero, up to just below 3 seconds. 321,495 signatures.
Out of 1,416,520, 321,495 were approved in less than 2 seconds. They removed users 9 and 26 because they were actually doing their jobs, and it can be seen in this table and in these charts, which left 2,704,000 votes that were done in less than 3 seconds.
Mr. Spakeen testified that from that figure, he deducted the results from users 9 and 26, and that's where he came up with the figure of 274,000.
Go back again. Which column are you looking at now?
This is the last 2 columns entitled verifications in less than or equal to, and it says 2 seconds, but as Mr. Spakeen testified, it's really less than 3 seconds because
I see where you're at. Thank you.
Mr. Spakeen also testified that though the metric of signatures being compared and verified in less than 2 seconds of 70,000 is not reflected on this chart, he testified to that amount, and he further testified that users 9 and 26 were not, those figures were not included in that calculation. But Your Honor, if we go to the first page and look at user number 20. User 20, less than 3 seconds, validated or compared and verified 13,749 ballots at a rate of 99.88%. User 31, 21,471 ballots at 99.84%.
They're off the wrong paper here.
Flipping to the next page, user 34.
Wait, hold on a second. You're jumping around on columns here.
I'm sticking all the way to the right-hand column, Your Honor. That's the less than 3 seconds, which is the.
I got it.
Yeah.
But second to the.
There we go. User 34 went through 34,989 at a verification rate of 98.96%. In less than 2 seconds, 6,561, verification rate of 99.77%. User 43 went through 52,813, verified in less than 2 seconds, 12,203 at a rate of 99.91%. User 44 went through 30,979, went through 6,617, it looks like, at a rate of 99 point something percent, almost 100%. In less than 2 seconds, all this was done from each and every individual person. That's just literally hitting the button.
Second in from the right, user 20. I got that. Then what was the next figure you used?
31, Your Honor. 21,461 ballots.
See, Joseph, what you're getting at here is the fact that she's not claiming that. What she's claiming is this was not legitimately done. So therefore, we don't know who won. Not to mention the fact that all the problems and everything, there was a lot of people that weren't able to vote. That was never her claim in the first place, and that's where your bias with the media comes into play. You're not following along with this. You're just listening to what the media tells you. And they're fucking lying to you, brother.
Shots fired.
At 99.84%.
Me and Joseph go back and forth all the time. I love it.
Going to the next page. User 34, 6,563 ballots at a pass rate of 99.77%.
Amazing.
There are a number of others on this page. We can flip to user 79 on the third page. 27,196 at 100% pass rate.
99.93 too, I see. 99.81 user 67.
Next page, user 112. 20,932 at 99.96%. And I'm just
User number 135. Again, 55,784. 24,414 were approved in less than 2 seconds with an approval rate of 99.88. Did they verify? Did they verify at all?
Giving a sampling of these, Your Honor. User 134, 19,805 ballots at a pass rate of 99.7%. Last page, user number 135, 24,414 ballots at a pass rate of 99.88%. Those ballots and others, all others in that column, were being compared purportedly and verified in less than 3 seconds each, all with a pass rate that was the vast, vast majority of all of them in the column are above 99%. By way of comparison, Mr. Valenzuela testified that when he reviewed approximately 1,600 ballots, he rejected about 311. That's a pass rate of about 81%.
We're really good at signing things here in Arizona. Really, really good at it.
So yeah, that was never the claim in Kari Lake's problem altogether in the whole trial. That was never the claim at all, Joseph. The fact that she was saying what she was saying is because the media tells you that. The entire time, her claim has always been that it was never done correctly. And she is correct. It wasn't done correctly. Mind you, they took a week to do that. They took a week for 274,000 ballots out of the 1.4 million that came in to just click away. Because that's what they were doing. To just click as fast as you can to get your job done as fast as you can. And if you had a problem, you sent it up to level 2. Well, level 2 had over 300,000, almost 400,000 that were given to them with a handful of people that they got so overwhelmed they were kicking it back down, so those level 1s were clicking again. They were just trying to get their job done. They never did it correctly. They never knew. So when you're saying, oh, these votes for this person, these votes for that person, how many of that for Katie Hobbs or Kari Lake would have been null and void because the signature never matched in the first place? How could you make that argument that Katie Hobbs still won if you can't even argue that the signature verification was done correctly in the first place? Doesn't even matter which side won. How can you make the argument that Katie Hobbs won when you can't verify the signatures of valid ballots versus ones that were like 88 compared with a signature that looks like an actual signature of somebody? How can you verify who won? And that's always been the argument. And she is correct on that. So yeah. But that is disturbing as hell to know it took them a week to go through all that just to come up with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a lot. It's just like, no wonder there is no faith in our, elections, and it's what frustrates me that people really do blindly just say, oh no, they said that's who won, so that's who won. And it's like, well, things aren't always that cut and dry. Like there's problems that have arisen quite substantially in the past, what? At least
it's gone back a long time. It's gone back a long time. George Bush's second term was won because he sued to recount in just one county, in just one state.
Yeah, all that, which I'm not well versed in that, so I'm and I assumed this has been a problem much longer than I have been aware of, because typically, all of the issues that we are seeing, they're not new things, for the most part. There's some new things, obviously, but a lot of this type of stuff, it's not new. It's just been under the radar, and people have not been privy to it, and people haven't really known about it, or if they did know about it, they were like the crazy conspiracy theorists, which is still, on par for the left, but people were taking a lot. Yeah, like people when you got labeled like a conspiracy theorist like 20 years ago, even, people just assumed you were crazy. Like it was just he's just a little cuckoo. He really likes to, make a big fuss about things and like, but now it's like, like somebody used conspiracy theory as an insult towards somebody else the other day. And I was just like, it just means that they're going to be right. You'll find out months late, but years late.
How many people believed that the CIA assassinated JFK? That was one of the biggest ones we've ever had. And then all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, we did it. Let's move on to something else.
Anyway, aliens. It's literally what happened, I feel like.
But you are kind of right in that. And honestly, I don't care who won. Whether it be Katie Hobbs or Kari Lake, I don't care who won. What I care about is it's done correctly so we know, and it's not just somebody thrown in there because they want that person to be in that spot for their team. Like your conversation with what we were having before. The left and the right all are vying for power within our government. And they're all trying to set up the government in their own way. And it's all to fuck us. I was going to say worse, but it's all to fuck us. You are correct in that.
I recently listened to a, Tim Pool's got that new Culture War show out. And he sits down with people and it's a bit more conversational and, chit-chatty and stuff. What are you laughing about?
The reason why the Culture War podcast was canceled this Friday.
Huh?
That Kelly person?
Oh, yeah. I was so confused. Kelly said that they were going to be on Timcast, and then somebody said, no, actually it's supposed to be Culture War because that's what Cassandra had said. I didn't see that part of it. I never confirmed that. And I was just like, were you just lying about being on because if you say you're on Timcast, that means Timcast IRL. That means the podcast. It's not Culture War is a different thing. And what I've seen typically happen lately is that they have somebody on Timcast IRL and then they do a Culture War episode because obviously that person's there and that makes sense. But anyway, I watched the episode where he's sitting down with Kari Lake and I just love her. I just love her so much. I love the way that she frames things. I love her perspective on a lot of issues. I was just Kari Lake for president. Hands down, man. Come on, let's do this. And, Tim Pool always says he wants her to be VP and stuff. But, I don't know. She's a very, very intelligent woman. And sees, she's just got her eyes on the prize. She understands this so well and understands how everything works and operates and all the shady things. I don't know. I just really loved it. So if anybody's interested in just hearing more from Kari Lake specifically, I think that was a really good episode of the Culture War.
I do like what she says. I'm not gonna lie, I do like what she says, but it also makes me think that you're hitting so many points that are just right up my alley. Could it be one of those things where it's just too good to be true kind of situation? How many times have we seen that happen?
I can't be that cynical unless there's a reason to be. She just makes sense, and that's the problem right now is everybody's not making sense, and then some person comes along and is like, wow, they make so much sense. This is too good to be true. Or you actually have a hidden agenda and you're not who you claim to be type of thing. But that kind of thinking to me is the simulation thinking. If I think too much about if we're in a simulation, I can't do it. I get too nihilistic and I have to no. I can't let myself go down this road. Fun thought, but I can't actually be serious about it because it's she hit what up your what?
He was talking about something you said. It was misconstrued, anyway. But yes.
No, but what resonated with me the most about Kari Lake is her perspective on like pro-life. And I've heard a lot more people. I heard Charlie Kirk say this the other day in a talk that I watched that he did, where they're kind of promoting the idea of like providing an incentive for people to want to enter into marriage and to have kids. And I think it could obviously easily be abused, but it's the incentive of like having children within a marriage, which differs from just having kids in general, which is there are people who do that to increase like their benefits, like their state benefits, their welfare and stuff like that. It's not necessarily a conscious thought for a lot of people, but anyway, but they were talking about just incentivizing that kind of thing and making it actually more appealing to people, because there are a lot of people right now who just don't want to get married. There's a lot of people who don't see any financial benefit of it, which like to me that's a crazy way to look at marriage, but I understand it to a degree because you are tying your finances together, you know. So for some people maybe that's just too big of a risk factor, but they apparently in Hungary they kind of incentivize that a little bit more. They'll offer you tax cuts if you get married and for children that you have. And she talked a lot about that kind of stuff and about just supporting women so that they will like choose life for their babies, essentially, you know what I mean? And she said that without even doing like any pro-life legislation. It was all just, well, if you actually support women who are seeking abortions and say, hey, why are you seeking this? What is the reason? What do you feel like, is lacking in your life that you can't raise a child? Let us help you. And I was like, this is just such a beautiful message. This is exactly what so much of the pro-life movement has been talking about. Like, and so I don't know, there's a million different ways to do that. And we can obviously like have discussions about that. But I just really liked all of that stuff. I just think she's just a force, man.
I still don't know. I'm cynical as hell. And
yes,
like I said before, it just gets to me that when somebody comes out of nowhere, just out of the blue. Yeah, she worked in media before in Arizona, but I don't live in Arizona. I'm not close to Arizona. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, she just comes up out of nowhere and she's saying all the right things.
Dude, you can't.
I don't like it.
But so like,
I don't like it.
So
It's got me raising an eyebrow because it's like, who the fuck are you? You know?
Well, I mean, you can say that about freaking anyone almost. Like, it just because that she just came up on your radar, you know what I mean, doesn't mean I remember watching her episode of Stories of Us that PragerU did like way before all of the governor stuff, and it was just really interesting her story, you know, like just being within the media and seeing this radical shift and the difference in expectations of her and from the news network and stuff like that. So I don't know. To me, it wasn't like unusual, I guess. Also, I just tend to give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong. That's kind of what I go by. I can't live in this thing of everything is fake and no one's real and everybody's lying, and it drags my mentality down way too much. So you get the benefit of the doubt until I start seeing problems, right? And that's just how I operate. I believe
I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt until you prove me wrong. That's the way I go about it.
Yeah, but you can't. That's like proving a negative, right? That's not.
I know.
Like,
but
yeah, you can't. It's not
all the shit we've been going through.
It's not logical.
No,
yeah, but
it's not. But it's a thing. Yeah, I'm stuck on that, and a lot of times it actually comes up to be. Yeah, see, told you. Look at Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. What the fuck?
Well, I mean, we'll have to see how that plays out.
We will.
I think way too many people. This is a big problem, okay? People put everybody up on a freaking pedestal and they go, this person is amazing because they're doing this one thing that I really like, so they're just wonderful and great in every single way. And it's like, that's not how people are, my friend. It's not how people are. You know, and especially when you were talking about like people with a whole lot of money, people with a whole lot of connections, people with a whole lot of ownership over very important things. Yeah, but I don't know.
With that, actually a nice segue
into
our
a
Rumble
nice segue,
topic.
isn't it? Let's get into that because we've been going for a while. So
Yeah. We're going to hit up Rumble, ladies and gentlemen. Me and Ashley have actually been talking about this for a couple weeks now, about a problem we're seeing, and it's starting to creep up everywhere. So y'all are definitely going to have to want to go over to Rumble real quick. I do need to create a splash screen for these kinds of mix-up, and I think this is going to be a perfect way of doing this for now. But go ahead and switch over to the Rumble if you're not already there. There is the link for that one. We're about to make some people mad. See you over there, guys. Oh, let's put that there.